I can't explain to you how angry and upset I am right now. Let me explain. My mom's ESA dog had an appointment at Banfield's Pet Hospital in Clearwater, Florida on Gulf to Bay Boulevard. She was to go there for an renewal for her flea medication, any updated vaccines she may needed, and her last fecal test just to make sure that the worms were gone, which were taken care of originally by the SPCA. They were the ones who did the deworming on her. She was to go in at 3:30 p.m., but I had to contact them at 8:30 a.m. to let them know that she was coughing and I suspected that she had kennel cough. The lady on the phone, who I'm assuming was a nurse, told me that she agreed with me and just to bring her in originally at 3:30 p.m. Now, keep that bit of information regarding to the deworming with you. I'll explain in just a second. But I took Littlefoot in, and this is the first time this ever happened. They had asked me to stay there because this was going to be an in and out appointment. They didn't want her to affect the other dogs. So like, okay. First of all, I found out that they didn't have her records, even though it was faxed in. And it wasn't an in and out appointment. I was there for over an hour. The nurse came out and she had told me that Littlefoot had a mild respiratory infection, so she was going to be put on 5 days of antibiotics. And that she was worm-free. So I was like, okay, that's great. I brought Littlefoot home. I went into the bag where her antibiotics was so I could start her on them immediately, only to find out that there wasn't 5 days of antibiotics. There was only 3. And that's what it said on the script. They're in syringes, by the way. I did start her on the medication, but I did let Banfield know, but I didn't get a response back on this. So I let it go because I figured, you know what? It's not that bad of a respiratory infection, according to them. There must be a reason why they only put her on for 3 days. So I put full faith on it. Today is the 3rd day. She is much worse. So I called Banfield at 8 o'clock this morning, and I spoke to a lady on the phone. I was like, hey, I don't understand why you guys put her on 3 days of antibiotics when she's supposed to be on 5. She is much worse. The lady on the phone, she looked up her information. She's like, this prescription is not meant for 5 days. It's only meant for 3 days. So she's never heard of anything beyond 3 days with this particular prescription. I was like, well, I need to get her in. She's getting worse. She said there was no availability until next week. I should contact other vets. I did that. There was no availability within my area. So I called her back and explained that. She said that she couldn't do anything until the vet came in. I was like, can you still explain to me why she was put on 3 days instead of 5? She went back and she's like, I don't see her being put on antibiotics. I see her being put on dewormer. I said, why is she on dewormer? She was already dewormed beforehand. Apparently, they didn't bother to really check into the respiratory infection. The reason why is because she wasn't coughing there. When I found out about that, I was so angry because I'm like, this is the same prescription that the SPCA put her on back in late June. This is July 8th. It made no sense. So why did the nurse tell me 5 days of antibiotics? Keep the dog away from other dogs. So anyways, I'm assuming she's a nurse. She told me that she couldn't do anything until tomorrow when the vet that saw Littlefoot would be in. I was like, well, don't you have a vet there now? She said yes, but that vet didn't see Littlefoot, so that vet couldn't do anything. I was like, well, you have her records and I have video proof of the cough. Shouldn't that be enough? Apparently not. The only one that can treat her is the vet that saw her originally. And this is the vet that messed up. So for all I know is, I don't think there was a communication problem. I think that either the vet didn't listen to the nurses or the nurses didn't pass on the information to the vet. I have no idea. This is concerning to me. I'm hoping that this will be fixed immediately first thing in the morning so I can go in and get the antibiotics and get her on her medication that she should have been on from day 1. So this whole time I thought she was on antibiotics. No, she was on dewormer. I don't know why this nurse told me that this was antibiotics for the respiratory infection. I don't understand why they were putting her on dewormer when she was already dewormed. And I already told them this. I told them, it was like, she had to come in for her last fecal test, according to the SPCA, just to make sure the worms were gone, which I was told they were. So they can't get their story straight. There's also another matter. The information that was given to me in regards to the 5 days of antibiotics and no worms, this information was also told to my mom by a nurse from Banfield. Now, I don't know if it was the same nurse that told me or not. I have no idea. There's so much more that actually happened, and I couldn't fit it all in here. I may do another video. I haven't decided yet. So now I'm going to have to rely on this nurse or tech to pass on the information to the veterinarian. And hope that I could just go pick up the medication like she said that may end up happening, instead of me having to bring Littlefoot in. So in the meantime, I will give you guys an update in what's happening, hopefully in the morning.